Hello everyone and welcome to a report on what has happened to the Mark III Fiesta Gear 1.4 CVT that me and Richard were both breaking for as many bits as possible, the ultimate form of recycling. We're not doing this for profit. There are one or two things we might sell depending on if we think we're going to use it or not. But otherwise everything is staying in our possession on a 50-50 basis, although I have taken pretty much most of it physically because of storage issues. So I've decided to make some space in my little garage and possibly in one other place for all these parts, some of which Ruby has used, but only a few. We must have taken about 200, 300 parts off at least. I can't tell you how much, but the value of these parts is unbelievable. Some of these are, well, most of these are now unobtainable and have been for many years, only second-hand and good second-hand. And my flat is now an auto jumble shop, as my friend remarked when he pulled away just now. Richard has just helped me to drop off some very valuable things outside. Well, I thought I would give you a little view of what I have in here. Now, in all honesty, what is in here is quite how shall I put this, it's a third of what we've got. I mean, anything from like a complete center console, yeah, the wrong color, but it can be painted. I've painted it. Steering column, cluster, I need the perspex because the one on Ruby's has got a crack in it. Grills, moldings, heater vents, yeah, whole console with switches, to be honest. Steering wheel, obviously, column surrounds, more trim because this was interior stuff. Choke cable, I think that was a accelerator cable on the automatics, unique to them. Obviously, we know what this is. Stuff to do with the gearbox, trim, indicators, an ignition switch. Yeah, I know you could. The only thing I think Richard insisted on was a lock set, so we've got a whole new lock set for his car so he can relock his own car. No pun intended. The steering column, the inner part, or I should say the outer. It's like these kind of bushes. This bush regularly cracks and it leads to steering column play. This is intact, so it's going to be. It's going to go straight back on there this instant, and it's going to stay on there when I can be bothered to put it on properly. Heater matrix, you know, the stuff that people leave because there's so much. I mean, taking that dashboard out was an absolute nightmare. The dashboard may not go up for sale because, quite frankly, who needs a dashboard? They don't seem to go wrong. I mean, obviously that's the sort of thing to keep, but I ain't got that sort of space and we need it gone. But yeah, the heater matrix, I'm going to have to put that somewhere else where something doesn't crash into it because that is absolutely invaluable. We've got other bits here. We've got wiper motor with the linkage just there. Washer pipe. We have, oh yes, that's the automatic transmission cable to the gearbox. Yeah, that came off in one piece actually. I'll pop that there. Weather strips, yeah, I'm going to have to use that for Ruby because one of the weather strips has gone a bit funny. Headlights, heater fan, latches, and I can say quite a few, well, bolts, nuts, everything, you know, the fasteners. It's the fasteners that we want because it's the stuff that people don't have, like entire wiring. That's a door wiring loom, if you can notice that. There's another bush. That is the bush for the crossbar, actually. I have got the crossbar down here, I think. Yeah, heater cables. These do tend to break. I'd spend an entire episode going through all this. The switch pack for the boot. That one. Bit gummy, so it needs cleaning. Honestly, I'm going to have to catalogue this and some visor clips. Yeah, things like that. Over here, you know, we got the sun visors in the way, got a seal, quarter window trim, moulding. But in amongst all this, would you believe that? If you have a look at how big this is, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the entire wiring loom of a Mark III Fiesta 1.4, manual or automatic. There's only a slight loom to the automatics, which is separate. You wouldn't believe it, would you? That weighs an absolute ton, probably about 10. I couldn't actually put a figure on it, actually, how much that weighs, but more than a few bags of sugar, I can honestly say. That is invaluable. It really is. Like a lot of this stuff here, it's just totally invaluable. There's the crossbar. So that is your crossbar for the brakes. It just goes up here, and that is your pedal action on this. It turns the whole bar to operate the back of the servo master cylinder. So that's a little picture of what we've got in here, but I've already put at least a third of this away, but you could see what we're trying to keep. And that wiring loom, by the way, is amazing. I have only had to butcher one plug, and that was the coolant fan plug on the thermostat housing. Sadly, it decided that the coolant temperature set, the fan switch I should say, was married to the inside of the plug. I could not undo it, so unfortunately that's the only one I've had to cut off. And the radio as well, somebody had already previously cut that off, but that is a complete loom. For honestly, it's a jungle. You wouldn't know where to start, but you know what, it's a good reference point, and I don't know what value it is. I hope I'd never need it. I might take cuts of it, but to be fair, for such a good loom, wow, all it requires is a radio plug and a coolant fan switch plug. I'm sure that could be arranged to be soldered back in quite nicely. Right, let's go and look at what's outside, because that is important to me. We have a tailgate. Richard and I have agreed that we had either two choices because of storage. We either take the bonnet or the tailgate. And as his tailgate isn't very good, and Ruby's is a bit dodgy in one place, and my body man, to be honest, would prefer having something better to work with. He can weld, put a little patch in. And those of you who know about Ruby's issue, there's a hole here which I fiberglassed, and it is pretty smooth, but there's a crack in it because the fiberglass is cracked. There's no rust though. There's a tiny amount of rust under here. This is a good boot. It just needs a shallowest of dents just popping out here, just a shallow one. That's all right, because this would have to be resprayed. And because we've got the etching here, I would have to have a word with my body man about swapping back windows, because that would do my head in that it's not the original back window. That's what would annoy me. But it is a complete tailgate, and I will try and store it as best as I possibly can in the garage. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. We'll see how that pans out. But it's got to be saved. He couldn't keep it. I've got to try and find a way around this. So there you go. There's a nice tailgate. Then we have some other bits and pieces. We've got some bumpers which will be stored in the garage as well. Found a nice space for them. We have a complete engine and gearbox. Yes, luckily, well, no engine crane was used. It was quite hilarious, quite stressful, but hilarious looking back. Hello, steering rack. Yes, we have a complete steering rack assembly, which I'm going to just disassemble, take the outer rods off just for a bit of, just to make sure that it can be stored correctly. We had two jacks on the go. So one jack was under the engine and one jack was under the cradle of the gearbox. And we used the cradle, strangely, that little hook, that towing hook at the front. Oh, we used it to pull the gearbox out like a bloody sledge. The cradle is a fantastic sledge. So I'd recommend that if you remove one of these or any manual gearbox in a Mark III, then you do it that way. So it was a bit sort of, we had to drop one jack, then we had to drop the other. We were doing like a zigzag until they were both sitting on the floor, and that's what we wanted, because this was a budget exercise. This engine, let's say both these two may have done 52,000 miles. However, there's something here. There was a date stamp on here. 4F. That's interesting. 4F. Now, number 4 refers to the year. So basically, I've explained to a few people that Ruby's gearbox is not the original one because it's got a 3 on it. 3 from 1993. So Ruby had a replacement gearbox at 4 years old. This is not the original gearbox to that car. I am hoping that it is done less than what the car has done, and I've got a feeling, yes, it has. So this is because it's got a 4, it's a 1994 gearbox. So this is not the original gearbox. I think these CVTs, I've got this a really strong theory now, it's backed up now by 2 cars. The early gearboxes that were launched fitted to Ruby and the deceased car, I think they failed very, very quickly. Very at low miles, there was some manufacturing faults with them. And they must have revised it, because how, touchwood, this gearbox still works and Ruby's gearbox still works after a huge amount of miles, way more miles and way more time. And yet the original ones, when they were new, failed frequently and had to be replaced through warranty, or potentially not even through warranty. It just had to be off the shelf and the customer had to pay for it. Probably that's why people say really bad things about these, but whatever's fitted to our cars, and hopefully this, then that's all right. This cable is quite crucial, because you should never ever touch this orange button. This is what adjusts the cable for the whole gearbox. So that cable is the control cable of the whole gearbox. Do not wreck that, because there's no ECU for this gearbox. It is completely mechanical with a cable, and it is set up quite nicely from what I've felt. So that's going to be left. I'm going to clean this gearbox up. We've got a few oddities like the pipe work, they're in good condition, and Rover fans. Yes, I've been moaning about getting one of these for Beatrix for a while. Obviously I don't need that no more now Beatrix is not with me, but these are the inherently bad drive plates, although the one on Fords, like the one I'm holding, are excellent. And this is an ideal conversion for anybody who wants to get rid of a rattly drive plate on their 45, 25, any Rover with the CVT and the Metro. The springs are not very good. In fact, I could probably show you. What they do is they get weak and they rattle in their slots. This one starts moving. It's minor, that one, it's fractionally moving, but honestly these are quality. These Ford ones never go wrong, and I think the torque capacity is well within reach of what they should be. If you look at this and you look at the Rover ones, they're identical, the original ones. You can get the uprated ones, but they're very expensive. I may have another one of these coming for one person who may use it. But interesting, you got Ford 89 CT, so that's when these were first made up, so probably for the Mark III, because the Mark II Fiesta may have used a different version of this. LUK, that explains why these don't go wrong. Anything made by LUK and stamped accordingly, I'm not being funny, that is gold. Now that's going to go in my spares, but to be honest, I won't ever need it, because on Fords, the Ford CVTs never go wrong. So that is a straightforward fitment on a Rover. I may have another one coming coincidentally. Now the engine, I am going to strip this apart and I'm going to rebuild it back up. I'm just going to do a budget rebuild. Okay, I'll skim the head, I'll do what I have to do, I'll clean up the valves, reuse them, seat them in, keep the camshaft, because it sounds amazing, this engine, there's nothing wrong with it. I will try and keep the tappets with the camshaft and keep the tappets where they came out. Bottom end, I'll have a look, but to be honest, I don't need to worry too much. It just needs really lots of cleaning, degreasing, bit of love, and this is better. I'd like to see what sort of belt is behind here. I wonder what's behind there. I think it's been done before. I like how the crankshaft is still retaining a lot of its blue paint. I love that. That's a Ford thing of this time on CVHs and Valencias. but this is going to be a fully rebuilt engine, just sympathetically rebuilt, I should say. And if me and Richard don't use it, somebody else will in the future, and I'll keep it in a safe place. That's all I can say about that one. Transferring it, well, I'll figure that out, because unfortunately, yeah, that might be a bit of a tricky one down the line. But nevertheless, it will all come apart in pieces, and we'll see how that goes. I might invest in I think I will invest in an engine crane and an engine stand, just a cheap one, to get this into a nice position. So there you go. I have lots of storage issues going on here, but I've got my ticket. I've got a spare gearbox for Ruby. That's amazing. It keeps her basic. It just makes me a little bit more secure in my knowledge that we've got something as a backup. I hope it will never be used, but I'll clean it up nevertheless. Just give it the once over, give this a once over, put this into storage, and again, I hope I'll never use it. But to get a tailgate for an early Mark III is getting harder and harder, because what I don't want is I don't want one missing without the swage line here, okay? Because then the enthusiast will kill you and point it out at shows. It's not good, is it? It's not right. So there you go, guys. I'm going to leave you be, but from the little scrapyard corner, take care.